Have you ever looked at a picture and thought to yourself, what is going on inside their head? Wait, that's not the right, hold on. When you capture a picture of someone doing what they were born to do, some magic happens within that process. So I'm gonna do my best to interpret what is going on in this exact moment, and if this photo had sound, what would it sound like? For anything electric guitar related, I always love going to my Fender Jaguar. It looks cool, it's got tons of tone settings, and wait, this kind of sounds like an ad. This is not sponsored by Fender. Good luck with all that. For everything acoustic related, I got this very old Parlor guitar. It's a 1965 Regal made in the US of A. You'll soon notice the necessity of a Parlor guitar in this case, because our first photo is starting at the beginning of time for guitar players, Robert Johnson's era. There's only about 2 or 3 photos of this man in existence. In 1926, photos weren't too common, especially for Southern Delta blues players. I mean, no one was really paying attention to them. As sad as it is, it's true. I'm trying to decipher if Robert Johnson was just loosely putting up a chord shape. Maybe his index finger, which is on the 5th fret, was just resting over the strings. Even in both cases, it would be an A7 sharp 9. That's an A7 sharp 9, even if you remove it. You could see he's using some finger picks, which are picks you can wear on your fingers rather than holding one. I keep asking myself, was this just a loose interpretation of a chord shape? Robert Johnson continues to prove that theory wrong, because look at his fingers. He's got his thumb on the A string. You know, it's not here, it's not up by the E string, it is exactly where it should be. This man's legacy was so shrouded in mystery. Some of these shots were said to have been faked, but we have to trust, you know? I think this photo of a 19-year-old Robert Johnson is legit. He's holding the same Parlor guitar we saw in our first photo. You could tell it's a Parlor because it's got a shorter scale. I also find it kind of cool that the only photos we have of Robert Johnson depicts him holding a guitar. There's not one photo that exists where he's not holding his instrument, which is pretty cool. You could tell the man practiced a lot. But anyways, let's break down the chord. I never use this thing, so I'm in E standard, got the capo on the 1st fret. It's unclear what tuning Robert Johnson was in. You know, I'm just gonna assume it was standard tuning. A similar chord shape to the last photo. Index finger at the 5th fret again, but this time it's on the G string. A side note, sweet spots do exist. For instance, if you place your finger like right in the middle, but in this case, Robert Johnson is extremely close to the fret, borderline on top of that hoe. What's really throwing me off is that I can't see his guitar head, so I don't know where the nut is. If he has his pinky at the 8th fret, then that means he's got his index finger on the 5th fret. It just looks like his finger's on the 4th fret, which would mean he'd be here with this chord shape. Okay, let's just go with the interpretation that Robert Johnson's guitar was outdated and weird, so we're just gonna play it up here by the 5th fret. I could decipher this chord no problem though. So we got the index finger, G string of the 5th fret, middle finger, A string of the 6th fret, ring finger on the 7th fret of the D string, and then you put your pinky on the 8th fret of the B. You don't know where he's gonna go with this. I don't know if the devil gave him those powers to create chords that make me anxious. After consulting with my advisors, chordidentifier.com, I can verify that this is a C minor 6. I'm combining the first photo chord with this photo chord, and it's actually making music. I'm just taking the first chord shape, A7 sharp 9, and then I'm throwing that C minor 6 in the mix. It seems like he's at the same place from the last photo shoot, playing a different chord. Same guitar, same really unsettling smile. Well, remember how I said I wanted to see more of his guitar? Well, here we go, I got it. I could tell that his signature acoustic guitar, we could call it, has ladder bracing. For example, most modern Martin guitars have X bracing, but with the ladder bracing you get a chunky, warm sound. It almost dulls the overall sound of the instrument. Okay, I think I gotta really commit to my role here. Smiling, kind of joking. This time we're totally out of the zone we were in for the last 2 photos. We are all the way up, starting with the index finger on the 9th fret. So far I got these 2 notes, which is already making me worried. It's safe to say that Robert was just goofing around with this one. Sit right there, I'll capture some good photos of you and your guitar. Just one more time. And that's how we got the world's first Ghostbuster. Couple of good guitar stretches. I like to do this wrist stretch sometimes. Normally I wouldn't show you my stretching routine, but in this case it's a little bit different. So we have this almighty lineup of cursed guitar chords. I don't know if that's a medical condition that this man has. What the fuck? That feels so weird. Again, a chord that makes absolutely zero sense. Moving on, we have a very unhappy guitar player. I'd like to see Ichkanito make a song out of this shit. Middle finger going over the index, and then the ring finger going over the pinky finger. Cool. Alright, I'm gonna get fucking tendonitis if I keep this up. A couple years back, when I was a beginner guitar player, I would scroll on YouTube for hours looking for inspiration, and eventually I'd stumble across some questionable guitar thumbnails. From 1 year ago, easy but beautiful chords everyone should know. And we have a check mark saying easy, and it kind of looks like his hand is arched up in an open chord, so we'll go with that. And then we have the difficult category, and his fingers don't look like they're doing too hot. Thumb support grip, where you're holding your thumb behind the headstock. 3 frets up with the pinky finger. 1, 2, 3. Maybe that's the B string? Why is his index finger on the B string and his pinky finger is also on the B string? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's difficult to play, but it's difficult to listen to, man. Alright, I'm done with that. Enter Charles Berthoud. Is that how you pronounce his last name? It looks like his pinky and his ring finger are both on top of the frets, and that's a big no-no. You're not supposed to fret a note on the fret, you know what I'm saying? That would just... It sounds like a fart. He's got the soy boy face. Here's the discrepancy. We got the ring finger and the middle finger both on the low E string, and we saw this with Ichka's thumbnail chord. That's not gonna work. If I hit this E note here, and then I hit an F, that E note is immediately canceled out. This is nonsense. His pinky finger is over the fret again, and it doesn't even look like it's pressing down on the string, it's just kind of resting there. Thinking back to a young me, screen capturing guitar thumbnails that I wanted to learn. Like if there was a chord in a thumbnail, I'd screenshot it, save it for later, try to learn it. And I'm sure I'm not the only one being led astray with this blasphemy. All my homies love Kurt Cobain. Love him or hate him, the man wrote catchy songs. Was he a good guitar player? I personally think so. I think he was a guitar legend. Most likely playing at a dive bar in Seattle. The camera can't even keep up with this man's movement. Probably having one of his signature freakouts on stage. But I really want to focus on his right hand here because he was a lefty. Based on context clues from listening to Nirvana in the past, I know that Kurt doesn't play bar chords or power chords like the standard guitar player. What they say is the most efficient power chord is one that's used with your index finger and your pinky. But Kurt, being self-taught and flippant about his technique, he used his index finger and his ring finger. That causes extra notes to ring out, and it almost turns into a bar chord in that sense. He would really use his whole entire arm to strum, so it makes sense that we see his left hand all the way up, far away from the guitar body. He's probably shaking the guitar, using his whole entire arm to strum instead of just his wrist, just flying all over the fretboard. Say for example, It Smells Like Teen Spirit. If I just go straight to the melody, it sounds alright, but it's missing that extra factor of edge. When Kurt played it, he would... You hear what I did there? I'm hitting those open strings between the chord changes, and I think this photo perfectly captures that sloppy accuracy technique of Kurt Cobain's.